And welcome back. We are here with our special guest, Congressman Jake Ellzey from Texas. We are so excited to have him here. You just got done voting, right?
We've got voting later.
Oh, you
today.
do? Okay, you got voting later today.
Yeah.
Okay. Fake
10
news.
o'clock.
Fake news. Fake news. Thank you for
That's
correcting
okay.
me.
There's a lot going on here this morning.
There is a lot going on here this morning.
Talking about reconciliation, that was the meeting that was just going on.
Yes.
And that was over in the visitor center.
Yeah.
I had some other stuff to do. So
yeah.
We're busy
Okay.
right up until it's time to go.
Can you talk about a little bit about that or not? But before we talk about, there's a lot to talk about actually with the congressman. Tell our listeners a little bit about you, because this is the first time that they're meeting you. And so obviously there's a lot of people out there who probably already know you, but go ahead and just tell them a little about you.
Well, first of all, Jill, thanks for having me on WSJS on your show. And I'm really excited to talk to the people of North Carolina. I'm a Texas boy, born and raised, went to the Naval Academy, graduated in 92, spent 20 years as a helicopter and fighter pilot, and then flew for the airlines for a while, and then got elected to Congress because I clearly didn't enjoy getting paid very well. So I enjoyed what I did, but the call to public service came in like it always does in life. Sometimes you think there's a coincidence, but there's not. So I really feel privileged to do what I do, looking after veterans, providing for the defense of our country through defense appropriations, which I'm on, and being on the small business committee with Roger Williams as the chair, who's a fellow Texan and a car dealer. And he asked me to be on that committee. And I said, of course, when you're talking to Roger Williams, who's also our baseball coach, baseball game, June 11th, y'all show up. Republicans versus Democrats. We won 4 years in a row. We won by 20 runs last year.
I mean, not that he's bragging or anything.
No, we're not bragging at all. And so
They're just facts.
And we got Pat Harrigan this year.
Oh yeah.
Who is a fantastic pitcher, played at West Point. I won't hold that against him because I'm a Navy guy, but anyway, so I love what I do. It's a true public service. I miss my family, my 16-year-old daughter and 13-year-old son, of course, my beautiful wife, Shelby. But this is a real privilege. Only just over 11,000 people have ever served in Congress, in the House of Representatives.
Oh,
that's a very small number. So I'm very privileged, and it's a finite amount of time. So I'm going to try to do everything that I can in the time that I have allotted. As a quiet professional, following Reagan's 11th commandment, being kind to everybody. Don't speak ill of fellow Republicans, but be kind to everybody, because you're going to need everybody at some point.
That's so true. All right. So tell us a little bit about what you've been working on, because I know as a small business owner, anything small business related, I'm very grateful for, because it is such an important and staple of what makes up America.
The vast majority of businesses are small businesses.
Bingo.
And with the consolidation of banks getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it's more difficult to get capital for you who are a mother of 4 kids trying to run a business at the same time. Bank of America, Chase, they don't really care about you. That's where the SBA comes in. For people who are trying to raise a family, want to start a business, make some extra money on the side, figuring out how to get that financing, providing some of that financing, and providing best business practices is what the SBA is supposed to do. It veered off course under the Biden administration, and we're putting it back on course. And Roger's done a great job, as have the members of the committee, and going, you need to steer back to providing for the small business owners of America. 75% of all businesses in the United States are small businesses, and that's who we're supposed to help.
And that's where HR 2968 comes in.
2968 came in because a few years ago,
because you needed to right the wrong.
We needed to right the wrong. The Small Business Administration decided that they were going to get involved in voter recruitment, particularly and only in Michigan, which has always, for the last 3 cycles, has been a swing state. So the SBA decided to do a memorandum.
Which is also where Trump gave his rally speech last night.
They gave the rally speech with the Democrat governor of Michigan. So it's Michigan, so goes Michigan, so goes the country. Texas has been red for a long, long time, but Michigan has vacillated back and forth. So SBA got involved in something they're not supposed to do, and that's voter recruitment. They did it on a memorandum of understanding with the state of Michigan, who is being run by Democrats, and it was much like the border, trying to allow a lot of folks to come in so that the future looks Democrat. That's what they were doing in Michigan. That's not in their charter. That's not something they should do, and they were being evasive about it. So Roger and the committee would ask. That's our oversight. We have oversight for that agency, and they have to answer questions, and they didn't. And so this rights the wrong, where SBA goes back to doing what it's supposed to do and stays out of voter engagement and voter recruitment.
Are you shocked that something like this even has to come into play?
This is my shocked face. No, not shocked at all.
Yeah.
And particularly under the Biden administration, but starting with the Obama administration, and everybody in the Biden administration was a holdover from the Obama years. So whatever they were trying to do those 8 years, and then got interrupted by Trump, which nobody saw coming. Then they continued with that third term and doing things like that. That's why we had an open border and 8 million illegals come across the border, and they didn't seem to care. And also on the voter side. So for them, it's about power. And how do you get power? By getting continually elected into office, and that is by recruiting Democrat voters.
Right. So tell us a little bit about what advice would you give to small business owners?
Get involved with the SBA. Contact the SBA. They have there are a lot of people at the SBA, not at the top, not at the headquarters, but out in the field offices throughout the country, whose job it is to help small business owners either get started or continue with growing their businesses. And we're always working on better ways to allow small business definition to continue to grow and get contracts with the federal government. A lot of the federal government contracts come from small businesses. They rely on it. Even the primes in the defense industry depend on small businesses. And so we should be doing everything we can to help those small business owners.
Okay, so something that we love to do with our listeners is really educate them on what's going on up here, because I feel like, and you may agree or not agree, but I feel like a lot of people will get voted into office, and then all of a sudden the constituents are like, wow, what are they doing up there in DC? Which is the whole point of starting this, was to educate our listeners so that they can formulate their own opinion instead of letting the news and whatever affect what they're thinking. So give us a little day-to-day of what's on your agenda today.
I have a staff of about 12 people in the district and up here in Washington, D.C. The folks in the district, their sole job is to do constituent services, outreach to veterans, small businesses, Social Security recipients, in any number of things, claims with the IRS. We have a very strong staff that works on making sure that the role the federal government is supposed to provide and the benefits that they have earned or are receiving are taken care of properly in the district. So that's my favorite part of the job, and it fulfills me the most, and I don't have to get 217 other votes to do so. But if you think about the construct of the federal government, it's supposed to move slowly so that no extremists can get a hold and make things happen.
It's a good reminder.
So what is our sole job? The sole constitutional duty for us is to pass a budget. Hadn't happened in 20. We haven't gotten 12 appropriations bills passed in 27 years. So we're failing in that. I think we have a unique opportunity to do that this year. And I'm on the appropriations committee, and I feel like now that we've gotten the government funded through September 30th, the fiscal year ends on September 30th. That's when we talk fiscal year starts October 1st. So provide for the nation's defense. I get to do that too on defense appropriations. So you don't want Congress having a bunch of bills passing right and left. We should be withdrawing. I'm a federalist, which means I believe local control is best. I believe state control is best. And the state should have most of the power. That is how the Constitution was written. And we're starting to peel that back. Trump is trying to do that. We're trying to do that in the House, and so is the Senate, so that this country looks like what the founding fathers envisioned, rather than a bloated bureaucracy, which is what it's become. So when we're talking about cuts, we're talking about waste, fraud, and abuse. We're talking, and DOJ has found a lot. And when we talk about DOJ, that is the chief executive officer hiring an auditor to audit his own department.
That's a great way to describe it that I have never once heard in the news.
No, you haven't, because they want to make it about clicks.
But we did today.
You heard it today
on the Jill Berlin Show with Congressman Jake LZ
on WSJS.
Yeah. So, okay, let me ask you this: real quick, because we've got 3 minutes left. Appropriations is huge, and I worked with when I worked up here in Capitol Hill, I was with Congressman Charles Taylor, who was definitely involved in appropriations, and so I learned the importance of it in my 20s. but there's a lot of people out there who don't really understand. Can you just give them like a quick 101 of why appropriations is such a big deal?
Yes. There's authorization and there's appropriation. So you have a family of 3. Let's say we're talking about defense. We'll use that. The Defense Department is the son in a family of 3. Dad is the authorizer. He's House Armed Services. And he says, son asked dad, hey, can I have a double banana split? He said, sure, son. I've authorized you to go get that. Now go ask mom for the money. And mom says, you can have a single cup of vanilla. That is how it works. So there's authorization, which is House Armed Services and the NDAA. And then there's the appropriations process, which says, okay, now both of those have to be signed by the president. So they're both law. But the appropriations process is where the actual money gets distributed. So most people don't understand that.
Which is why it's such a big deal.
It's such a big deal. And so 12 appropriations bills, a continuing resolution is an appropriations process. And it's too big and it's not delineated enough. So the proper appropriations bills are the ones that need to get passed. I think we have a good chance to do that this year.
So just so we know, in that analogy, your mom.
I'm mama.
Yeah. Okay. Just make sure. All right. So real quick, because we have little time left, what are you focusing on, that's coming up in the future?
Well, reconciliation is a big deal. And so we're looking to get that passed by Memorial Day, which.
Do you think it's going to happen?
I'm always hopeful. I'm sometimes naively so, but I'm always hopeful. And I will say that Speaker Johnson and the entire leadership team have an incredible way of pulling an infinite number of rabbits out of the hat. And at the end of the day, if we don't pass reconciliation as Republicans with this unique opportunity for the House, the Senate, and the White House, the agenda goes under. The certainty for our economy is threatened, and the future in 2026 with the midterms doesn't look good. So we have to pass this. So if there's anybody on our side who is saying, well, here's my red line, ultimately you have to ask, what's the alternative? Nothing's perfect. And when you're passing a bill, there's a saying that if everybody's a little bit upset, it's a good bill.
Oh, good bill. All right. You heard it from Congressman Jake Ellzey. We got to cut to commercial break. You're watching the Jill Berlin Show live from Capitol Hill.